What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I just witnessed a little fender bender just happen, and I recorded this once today already, but it didn't record, so we're back at it. um, round two. All right. So I will give you a little update from yesterday on my, because I talked about a lot about consistency. So day two, filming, that's one piece. Finances, I always do it. Man, I wish I would have recorded going the other way because the sun wouldn't have been in my eyes again. But that's all right. Round two for consistency was finances. I haven't set up like a system yet, so I'm probably just gonna check my credit cards, check my bank account, because I did spend some money today for some plane tickets, but I'm gonna check in on those just temporarily until I get like some system set up where it'll be much more streamlined, easier to check out, stuff like that. And I did go to the gym today as well, which is a funny thing. I currently have a sore throat. I've been sick for like the last 3 weeks, and then I feel like I was finally getting better, and now my throat's starting to hurt. And I don't know if that is because I lifted so hard or if I'm actually getting sick again. So I guess tomorrow morning we will find out, but I'm thinking I got sick again, which kind of stinks. But hopefully it'll be gone before the holidays, before Christmas. So really hoping on that one. I hope you guys had a good day yesterday. I've got some electrolytes here. I just had a cough drop as well, so those don't mix very well. That's watermelon flavor. Usually it's like lemon lime, which sorry. Yeah, and I also decided to sorry. It's also lemon lime. Or it's also watermelon, and it's usually lemon lime. I prefer the lemon lime. As I was saying, I did start recording a little bit earlier today. A little earlier into my trip because it was only a 15-minute video yesterday. And I kind of wanted it to be a little longer, so there's more stop signs, stop lights, so more possibility of my phone falling over while I record, but that's all right. Today I recorded this once already, and well, it didn't record, but I tried to record this once already, and I realized that near the end I was kind of just like dragging it out for no reason. I was just like talking about random stuff that really didn't need to be talked about. It didn't pertain to anything I was talking about. So I'm pretty much just going to talk. It doesn't have to be my whole trip. So if I lose a topic to talk about, I may just end the video. I don't want to like drag it out just to have a longer session or whatever. Also, I've realized that being consistent with YouTube, doing this where I have to where I'm talking for longer periods of time is going to be difficult. Especially when I'm like I want it to be more raw, more like a podcast sort of, where I'm not editing things out. So like when I have to transition from one topic to another, I sometimes blank for a second there. But I think that'll get worked out over time. And that kind of leads me into my next topic, I guess you could say, of the day. Sorry, my throat doesn't feel good. Which is kind of like just getting better at doing things maybe kind of like a little self-development kind of stuff. So let me give you some reference. Back about 1 or 2 years ago, I was really into real estate, and I really wanted to get into real estate investing. I didn't have I didn't have the money at the time or the job to get me a loan, so it was very difficult, and I didn't end up getting into it. But I did go to some real estate events, like some networking sort of events. So I went to the Bigger Pockets Con, which is like they're pretty big name on YouTube, Bigger Pockets, if you're into real estate investing. So I went to one of those, and I went to another one, Raising Private Money, which had to do with real estate. And I bring this up because at the time, those were the first like networking events that I went to, the first like events general that I went to, like the first one. So I was so awkward at the time, and it was so funny now that I think back on it. But I would literally like I would go there was a lot of time to network and talk to other people. And it sounds dumb saying networking, but that's basically what it was. But during those hours or time or whatever, I would go and I would literally just stand on the side of the room, not talking to anyone. And then I would wait till someone came up to me, and it was just like so far out of my comfort zone. And if I did walk up to a group, it was like I would walk up while they were mid conversation. I would just kind of stand there for like a minute or two until they like slowly walked apart so I could stand there. But I bring that up because recently, I think it was last weekend, I went to another event. Fast forward, I've done some more networking, some more groups where you're like forced to talk in front of a group of people and forced to go talk to other people. And this last weekend, I went to this landscaping event. It was with Tigran Gertz. He's got a pretty good following on Instagram, and Grant Cardone, who's also pretty well known in the real estate space. But they had a collaboration, and they made this landscaping conference. So I went to that, and it was so cool to be able to see how far I've come, even just with talking to other people. Because if I compare that to the first event I went to, which was in real estate, I'm like, it's like a night and day difference. Like, I was going up, I was talking to people, I would like step into a conversation, not like rudely, but it was just really cool to see that over the span of a year or two, after I've been practicing and talking to other people, that I could see that it was paying off. And I want to say, I think the consistency of doing something, I think putting yourself in uncomfortable situations that you're not used to but you want to get better at, I think that's like key. Because if I wouldn't have done that stuff, if I wouldn't have gone to those events, I'd still be that guy standing in the corner. And now it pertains to me even more because landscaping is what I actually want to do. I want to grow my business. So it was nice that I got a little practice in real estate because now it's paying off while I do landscaping. So if you think something's really difficult or you haven't quite got the hang of it, I'd say just stick in there, just stick with it. And if you look back in like a year or two, I'm positive you'll see a difference if you stick with it and you keep trying to get better and better. So I think that's something that was pretty cool that came out of that event. Um, Another thing I'd like to talk about. Well, we'll talk about the event a little bit more. So, um, I think another way. This is from personal experience. I think if you want to grow a business, or you want to become an entrepreneur, or learn new skills, get better with your people skills, stuff like that. I think that going to big events is really the way to go. Because there's just so much that can come out of those events, even if it doesn't show up right away, like the situation I just talked about. But I think it's good if you're trying to grow as a person, because you you gain perspective. That's what it is. That's the key. Um, Before I went to this landscaping event, I was trying to figure out, because this was my first year in lawn care and landscaping. I've been trying to figure out what I want to do next year. Like if I want to do lawn care, if I want to do landscaping, which one I want to focus on. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, I know there's like successful landscapers in my area, but if I got started, do you think in 10 years, I was asking myself this, I was like, do you think in 10 years I could make $1 million in revenue? And to gain perspective, I did 15,000 in revenue this year, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But I was thinking, like, I wonder if I could get to $1 million in revenue. And then I go to this I go to this landscaping event and talk about perspective, dude. I met so many people who in their first year they did $1 million in revenue, which is crazy. And then there was this guy, he was either my age or a little bit older than me by like a year or two. And he actually bought a landscaping company that was doing 12 million in revenue. And then 2 years later, which is where he's at now, they're expecting to do $24 million in revenue, which is just astronomical. And I wouldn't have gained this perspective without going to the event. I mean, I was thinking so small, and I wouldn't have changed unless I went to this event and met these people. Also, it was another great, just so many conversations that were so good, and even just like the main event was good. But I talked to this other guy. He asked me how much I did in revenue, because a lot of people were asking, how much do you do in revenue? But I was like, 15,000, but it's my first year. And he was like, oh, no way. That's exactly what I did. And then he told me he did 15,000 in revenue his first year. His second year, he did 30,000 in revenue. And then the next year, he actually switched from lawn care over to landscaping, and he did 160,000 that year. So that even by itself helped me answer the question if I want to do just lawn care or just landscaping. And I think, yeah, I'm not going to talk a lot about landscaping and lawn care because it's not what I'm mainly trying to talk about. It's my life right now, but it's the overall concept I'm trying to talk about. So if you're trying to grow as a person, you're trying to gain some skills, you want to learn some knowledge, then I highly recommend finding any events that you can. If you have the money to travel, that's even better because you can make like a whole trip out of it. But if not, find something in your niche that you're trying to get better at, even if it's just self-development, like physical development. I'm sure there's hundreds of events that go on, and the people you meet and everything, it can just be very beneficial. And that, well, what a segue. That is something else I want to talk about while we're on the topic. And that is people. I think one of the biggest things that will help you grow, this is directed to people, I would say, in business, but it can really be, I think, sorry, I think it will be easiest to explain. It will be the easiest to do, maybe, for business owners. But people. I know Tigran Gertz says this, and Grant Cardone says this, and that's probably why it's on my mind. But they say you don't have a money problem, you have a people problem. And I think that we just hit some traffic. Sorry. I think that people are so key if you want to be successful. A little bit, I mean, you can see that from the event that I went to, but another situation I'll talk about right now is I've been trying to reach out to people to see if because I want to buy a landscaping company. I don't want to tell people this all the time, but I'll mention it here. I want to buy a landscaping company, and people will help you. People are the key. Like, if you're trying to do this and you don't have a good reputation or good connections with people, it's going to be so much more difficult than you. If you get into business or anything, if you have a good reputation and you know people, they'll solve all your problems. I reached out to a couple people in my contacts because I'm trying to buy this business. Not a particular one, but one in general. In general? Sorry. Oh, gosh. But one of the people I reached out to actually connected me to a pretty big name in our area, and now I'm going to get to talk to them one day next week. So that is very interesting, but I don't know if I should have brought that up, but people will help you so much if you can have a good reputation. I can't really expand on this too much because it's kind of like in the development phase for me, so I don't know everything about it. So sorry, this is not, okay. Alrighty. Another thing I want to talk about, sorry. So, I don't know how people do this, dude. See, this is why you gotta be consistent, because this is my second time doing this, and I reckon in 2 years I'll look back on this and I'll be like, man, I was so bad at talking to you guys. Another thing I want to talk about in when it has to do with the event I went to is kind of you have to take a step back every couple of weeks, months, days. Not sure what the best time is, but it's being able to look at yourself as an individual and like how you think about things I think that's pretty key. At least to me, it's pretty key. A lot of the time, this is a little disclaimer, a lot of the time I'm going to be talking about how I think things will be, and that's just what I'm thinking. I'm not saying this is the answer to everything, but the point of these videos is say when I get to $1 million, if somebody else wants to get to $1 million, they can, if they want, they can go back and watch all my videos all the way through to see what I was thinking at the time, what big conclusions I came to. But so So, as it has to do with this event, I think it is very important that you know yourself and you can step back like third person and see why you react in certain situations like you do and why you do the things you do. A little bit on this for me. At this event, everyone would ask you what your revenue is and how much you did in revenue. And I always thought about myself that I didn't care what other people thought about me. Like, I pretty much wear whatever I want. I still haven't graduated college. I don't care what people think about me there. I wear Crocs all the time. Like, I always thought that I didn't care what other people thought. But then when it came to business and I went to this event and people would ask me, all these people, mind you, were doing like $1 million to like 5 million in revenue each year. And people would ask me how much I made. And I had to say 15,000 in revenue, which is crazy in comparison. But I knew I cared what other people thought of me, because the moment people would ask me, I'd say 15,000 in revenue. And then I would immediately follow up with, but it was my first year in lawn care. So I'm trying to grow in the next coming years. So yeah. So basically is what I was doing is giving an excuse for why I made 15,000 in revenue. And that's how I determined that. I was like, wow, I didn't realize this until I got home from the event. I was like, I kind of like debriefed what I liked about the event, what I didn't like, what I liked about my social interaction and everything. And I realized that every time people would ask me what I did in revenue, I'd be like 15,000 in revenue. But this was only my first year, so, and it was just like an immediate excuse for why I only did 15,000 in revenue when all these other people were doing big things. So I don't know. I think the only way I can personally fix that is be more cognizant of that question, I guess. I'm not sure. But I think it was very interesting that I always have thought that I do not care what other people think. But then when I got that question, I always had an excuse, like to basically like soften my ego if someone were to be like judging me. It'd be like a natural response of like defending myself for only making 15,000 in revenue. So I think that was a very good takeaway that I got from the event, just personally. And I think it is kind of key to like look at yourself and how you approach different situations, because I think you can learn from it and grow from it if you're actually serious about growing. So yeah, that's a little bit about me today. I'm about back to my apartment. I'm really hoping that I get better. I will get better. I'm gonna get better at these, so it'll be less awkward, less downtime and stuff. But if you're watching now, you're an OG, and I really appreciate you for that. If you've made it all the way through the video, you're an absolute rock star. I know I prefer these kind of videos. Probably not, yeah. So I hope you guys do too. A little idea I had for this new series that I'm putting on would be like to have a new character trait, character quality, or like, I guess something similar to that I would work on each month. So like, say this month would be consistency, how I brought it up in my first video, and then I kind of updated you guys on my consistency this month. I think that would be kind of cool, I think, in my opinion, because I could follow along with it, where I tell you guys how I'm doing in my progress with being more consistent, and then you guys could follow along and maybe track your own. Comment down below like how you're being consistent this month. I think that was a pretty cool idea. I thought of that on my first video that didn't get recorded. So if you do think that would be a good idea, I would really appreciate if you left a comment below, because I think it's a pretty cool idea. But let me know. Please let me know. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.